Welcome back to the Diary of a Single Mom. Hi everyone. I hope you're all doing well, inshallah. Oh my gosh, we are approaching the end of Ramadan. How does your Ramadan go, guys? Inshallah, please let me know how it's going for you. Alhamdulillah, it's been going really well for me. I'm actually proud of my oldest daughter because she's been fasting almost every single day. And, you know, for me, like I was quite scared. Like she's 12, she just turned 12. So I was just kind of worried about her fasting, but she managed to do so well. And I'm so proud of her. Inshallah, I probably need some help in understanding what it is that you guys, what type of content you guys would like. And I'll see if I can, inshallah, provide that type of content. Do you like the story times? Do you like more of the psychological aspect of things? Do you like to hear personal stories? Or would you guys like to hear stories from other people? Anything, inshallah, that you guys feel like maybe you would like to, the type of content that you would like to, sorry, one second. Yeah, any type of content that you guys feel that perhaps it really interests you. Inshallah, please, I'm begging you girls, send me some video ideas, inshallah. But anyways, let's get to the video. So today's video is going to be about a story time of when I first, actually not when I first moved into the UK, but we were living in the UK for about a year this time. And before that, obviously I was born in Sweden. I grew up in Sweden and my mum decided to move us here because my auntie, who ended up being Christian, was living here. And then my mum and her kind of had like a falling out. So my mum basically got moved into like a temporary accommodation. And when we were living there, I think it was like in North London at first, and it was like this big haunted looking house. But alhamdulillah, we got moved out of there and we basically got moved into this like temporary accommodation where I'm not going to say the area, obviously, because I just feel like that area is kind of close to home at the moment. Hello, Sahara. Hey, how are you doing? But anyways, yes, so we moved into this really poor area, and it's outside of London. And this area basically was predominantly white, poor people living in that area. They were quite racist as well. You're going to find out from when I continue telling the story about how we know that they're racist. So when we first moved there, subhanAllah, the condition of the flat, like I remember coming from Sweden and moving here because my mom moved us here. I was just thinking like, why did we move here? Because I feel like when it comes to social housing and stuff like that in the UK, it's kind of worse than Sweden. We were living there and I remember the first thing that we saw was like the paint wasn't done, like it was just shabby, and the area was predominantly white people. The ones that say they're taking our jobs. They're taking our jobs. Those types of people. Yeah, we were living there. And then after like about 2-3 months, we started getting like occasional knocks on the door. My mom or me, like I was about 11 at that time. This was around about 2004. I would open the door and there would be like this little white boy and like 15-year-old white boy and a white girl. And they would just be like, oh, we're selling these pirate DVDs. I don't know if any of you guys know about the pirate DVDs back in the day, because obviously we didn't have all the technology that we have today. Now it's more advanced, but they would sell us pirate DVDs, which are like illegal DVDs that they would basically sell us for a cheaper price. And sometimes we would buy DVDs from them. I remember we got Rush Hour from them. I don't know if you guys know, but Jackie Chan and what's the name? I forgot what the other guy's name was. But if you know about a few of the movies from 2004, then you know. So yeah, they were really nice to us. Like, like they would come, they would knock on our door, they would sell us stuff. And we had kind of like a cordial type of thing going on. We were like the only Somali, actually, we were the only Somali people that were living in that particular building. Up the road, there was a Somali woman, and across the other road, if you walked a little bit up, there was another Somali woman, and my mum made friends with them. So what happened one day was my little brother, Mohammed, he's like 3 years younger than me. He was around about 8 or 9 at that time. 9, 10. So he was around about 8 going on 9, and I was like 11 going on 12. He was coming back from the shop and he had like crisps in his hand and he got sweets from the 1p shop. I remember sweets used to be like 1p, guys. Like, I'm not even joking. There was this shop that was next to our house and they used to sell like really like loads of sweets, and some of them would be like 1p, some of them would be like 5p, some of them would be 10p. So my brother had crisps and he had like a bag of sweets. And as he was walking up the road coming home, basically a little young boy came to him, and this boy was around about 13 years old. So he came up to him and he was like, give me your crisps, give me your sweets, give me your crisps to my brother, innit? And obviously he was saying other words, to my brother, yeah. And my brother was like, no. He was like, I'm not gonna give you my crisps, right? But my brother was kind of scared of this boy because he was 13 and my brother was like a little boy. So he was like, give me the crisps, and he tried to snatch the crisps off my brother. And my brother ran away from him and he literally came back home. And my mum was like, what are you? She was like, go outside, Hada. Gara wilkas, iska'ili wilkas. And my mom was like, if you don't fight that boy, ana kudilaya. My mom was like, Hada adi iska'ili waysad, ana kudilaya. Warya, orod bah, iska'ili. My brother was like, oh, mommy, da, da. And she was like, no, like, you need to go and fight back and tell him, like, no, don't run away from him. So my brother went back outside and the boy was like, oh, like, give me your stuff in it. And my brother was like, no, like, I'm not going to give you my things. My brother was terrified. But my mom was like, if you don't fight him back here, I'm going to hit you. So my brother was like, which one do I choose? Like, I'd rather fight this boy. My mom would always say that to us, if we ever came back being scared of someone or something, my mom would be like, otherwise, what you're going to see from me. So the boy ended up jumping on my brother. My mom came outside and they were fighting. I remember on the grass, there was this grass area. They were fighting. My mom was standing there and she was like, good boy. Out of nowhere, guys, wallahi, I'm not even joking, like 10, 15 white people started coming and circulating my brother. And my brother was on top of him and they started like circulating and they was basically like cheering the white boy on and saying, let's call him Billy. Come on, Billy, man. Come on, Billy. Beat him up. Beat this boy up. Beat this boy up. And my mom was like, yo, fuck you. There's just so much chaos going on. To be honest with you, my brother won the fight because he was so scared of getting an ass whipping from my mom that he ended up winning the fight. We basically, I don't know how we even got home because it was so chaotic. And I'm so surprised that we didn't get gang beaten by these people, to be honest. We ended up getting back home. I think maybe they might have been afraid of my mum because my mum is pretty tall and she's like, you can just feel her presence. My mom's quite intimidating. And I can't lie to you, one of the things I love about my mom and that I look up to her for is her strength, and how she fought for us and like how she would always like do her best to protect us. And I really appreciate that because I feel like that strength, that inner strength, I've kind of taken from my mom. Obviously I'm a non-confrontational person, but at the same time, it's like I know when to set boundaries and I know when to stick up for myself. But anyways, we went back home. So we just thought, okay, that's done. That's done. We're never going to see these people again. They're not going to bother us again. That's what we were thinking, right? But we were wrong, baby. We were wrong. I would say a week has went past, yeah? And then this guy who had this bald head, he looked like a proper racist, like Adan guy. I can't even lie to you. Like stepped to like outside of our window. And then I remember my stepdad opened the window and he was saying, basically, what did you do to my son? Da, 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 da. And my stepdad, couldn't really speak English properly. So he was like, blah, blah, blah. And then the 16-year-old girl comes and she's pregnant. So she was like, like, what are you saying to my partner? And I was thinking, oh my days, like this guy must have looked like he was, I'm not even joking, like late 40s or something, right? He had a completely shaven bald head. He had bidar, yeah? And the girl, I swear to you, she must have looked like she was about 16, at most 18 or something. So she was pregnant and she started coming and, talking. And my mom came to the window, but she was like, you effing blah, 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 blah. And I remember my mom looked at her and she was like, you bastard, look, your bastard baby. You have a bastard baby. She was like, you shut up, you bastard baby. Her partner got angry, tried to like come towards my stepdad through the window. And my stepdad had a cocoa butter in his hand because he just came out of the shower. And I remember he had like a towel around him and he was wearing like a ma'awis. He threw the cocoa butter at the racist guy. So the guy had like loads of cocoa butter on his head. My stepdad was like, because he can't speak English. He used to be like, hey. I remember one of the things that my stepdad used to say to me, which I never understood at the time, yeah? Anytime like I would get excited about something or like I would get riled up, he would be like, teger. And I never understood what teger meant until like I became kind of an adult. And now I get it. Like what he was saying was take care. He was telling me to take care, like calm down. This is the same guy as well that when I gave birth to Sahara, I remember he called me and he was like, basically Sahara was feeling unwell. He told me to give Sahara juice. And I was like, I can't give a newborn baby juice. It has sugar in it. And then he was like, no, we kukorayan juice ka si gawada juice si. I was like, but I can't give her juice, like you don't give newborn babies juice. He's so funny. But yeah, that happened. And there was so much chaos. And the guy and his girlfriend ended up leaving. The 16-year-old girl and the late 40s guy ended up leaving. Everybody, just got to what they're doing and stuff like that. And then after that, guys, things started getting worse. There were many incidents where, like, if we would go outside, they would be like, and they were getting more and more hostile. Actually, this reminds me of what my lecturer Aminul said. Basically, he's Bengali, right? And he grew up in, I think he grew up in like the 80s. He said we had to go in groups because otherwise we'd get jumped. Anytime like they would go and play football and stuff, they had to hang out in groups because for fear of them getting jumped by basically the white people in the area. Also, he said that, the uncles, like the Bengali uncles said the same things. Like if they would play football in the 80s, they would walk in groups because they were afraid of being jumped by racist people. I would say in the early 2000s, it was a very similar situation. I wouldn't say for the whole country, but I remember the area that we were living in was very poor. People who lived there, they probably looked at us and were thinking, oh, these people are coming to our country, taking our jobs. They're taking our jobs. They came to our country. They're taking our jobs. That's what they were probably thinking. We had two cars. So we had one big family car and we had another small car that my stepdad and my mom saved up, to get. Like this obviously affected them because in the end, something's going to happen to the cars. One incident after about 2-3 weeks, subhanallah, guys, a brick flew into our house from the window. So someone threw a brick into our window. And this is like evening times, like 5 p.m., like going to the evening, and we were all like screaming, and obviously we could hear like the window breaking and stuff. We're like, Allah, and my mom looked outside the window and the person was just gone. We called the police that night, and my mom was just like, I remember this was really affecting her mental health because my mom also lost my auntie during this time. So we were living in this really, really bad, rough area, and on top of that, she lost my auntie in Norway, who ended up taking her own life out of mental health because of her mental health problems. It was quite severe and she wasn't getting the help that she needed. It's a story for another day. But my mom, like a lot of things was happening to her in this particular stage of her life. So I cannot imagine how hard it must have been for her, to have dealt with all this, subhanAllah, difficulty, and as a Somali young woman who has quite a lot of children, and who's just trying to survive and make it by without having any, support. Her mom and her dad weren't here. It must have been very difficult for her to witness, people of a different race behave like that towards her, even though she came to Europe at like the age of 19, as a refugee, But anyways, so my mom, you could tell that it was taking a toll on her, what was going on. And she also had a newborn. My little brother, Musa Mandek, was crawling on the floor. She was like, she literally had the children back to back. So, yeah, a brick came through the window. We called the police. And what frustrates me till this day, now that I think about it, is the police took hours to come, guys. I remember me and my sister like setting up a mattress next to my mom in the living room and just saying, we're not going to bed until the police come, and the police didn't come. They didn't come until the next morning or something, they weren't coming because we did call them a few times because there were many incidents. So maybe they were thinking to themselves, oh, like they keep calling, or perhaps there's a high rates of crime in that area. So I feel like a lot of the areas with high crime, is it just me, or do those spaces get neglected a bit more? I don't know. In America, that happens, a lot of the areas that have a high crime rates, they do get neglected, but they didn't come. The police didn't come. And I can't lie to you, like now that I think back here, I actually genuinely believe the police were racist that time as well. Predominantly, again, they were white people, This is not to say that all white people are racist, obviously, but I can't lie to you from the circumstances at that time, especially 9/11 happened at that time. And my sister, she wasn't wearing a headscarf that time, but her friend Falhada was wearing hijab. And I remember they would pull her headscarf and they would just say to her, oh, like, you're a terrorist, you're a terrorist. It was just crazy. It was honestly crazy. Our window was broken down. Me and my sister, we literally camped out in the living room and we told mum, we are not going to bed until the police come. We ended up falling asleep at like 3 a.m. because we're kids. The police ended up coming in the morning. My mom did not sleep. I remember they wrote a few things down and they said, oh, do you remember how the person looked like? My mom, she described a few of the people that she saw before, but she said she didn't see the person that threw the brick because they managed to run away. The last stage of the incidents was actually, let me talk about the time when my Hawrir Habiba came. My auntie Hawrir Habiba, yes, she is so funny. Like, if she throws a shoe and she wants to aim it somewhere, she will aim it. Like, I remember there was this little white boy that was riding a bike and he was quite a distance away. And I remember him saying like, F you, and stuff like that. And she took off her slipper, she threw it, and the slipper flew, and wallahi, it hit the boy, and the boy dropped off the bike. So, we were getting more visits from like the Somali people, like my mom's friends and stuff like that, because they were concerned for her and they were worried for her safety and our safety. And the last straw of the incidents, subhanallah, like anything could have happened. You know, we could have gotten, you know, by these people because they really went far. There was this one particular night where they painted our cars with red, and they said basically, you effing please get out of our country, but they wrote it on the cars in like red paint in the middle of the night, so nobody could see them. Maybe other people in the area could see them, but these people were co-conspirators. So all these people were kind of like ganging up on the Somali family that lived there. You kind of were happy about what was happening because there was a few of them. And then they wrote go home and stuff like that, go back to your country. Oh my gosh, it was honestly crazy. The next morning my mom looks at the cars, and I remember my mom just doing this, and she just started crying, and she called the police. She told the police. The police came and they had a look, and they just said to my mom, this seems like it's going to escalate further. Finally, they're doing something about it. And they was like, do you have any friends or anything that your children can stay with tonight, and perhaps you can stay with them as well? And my mom was like, okay. So my mom called her friend and she sent my siblings, there were 6 of us that time, so she sent 4 of my siblings to that auntie's house. And my mom and the newborn baby, because obviously she has to breastfeed my little brother, and me, she would always keep me because I feel like maybe I was a source of comfort for my mom, you know. I did have a lot of responsibilities growing up, you know, and I always felt like I needed to help my mom. So my mom kept me and obviously my little brother, the newborn, you know, and she was like, I'm gonna come after you guys. I'll come at like, you know, 8 p.m. or something like that. I just need to sort things out around the house. My mom prepared things around the house, and at around about, I would say, 9:30 p.m. me and my mom are sitting down. I was so young this time, but I'm trying to remember. My mom was breastfeeding my little brother, and we can like smell a bit of smoke. So outside of our flat, there wasn't a big gap before you can see where the cars are parked on the what was it called again? Is it the pavement or something? Yeah. So where the cars are parked and where we live, like there's not a big gap, there's not a big space between it, you know. So if there's smoke and the cars are burning, obviously it's gonna come in through like the window, you know, and the window was a little bit open. And my mom, she could see and she could smell smoke, and she could hear wow, because the cars, they were setting off an alarm. And then she pulled the curtains, and basically she sees both of the cars in flames. And my mom, she just froze. She was in shock. She had my little brother here, and she was just like, if you're someone who's like there, you'll move away from the smoke with your baby and you'll run out the door, right? My mom was in shock, so she was standing there with my baby brother, and she was just like this, like she was like, oh, like, you know, and she was crying. And I just said to her, Hoya, we need to get out of the house. So I pulled my mom and we literally went upstairs. That's the first thing that we did, because we did think about leaving to the outside bit, but we were scared that they were waiting for us outside and they were going to, hurt us. So we decided to stay inside. We went upstairs. This Pakistani family opened the door, and basically, I think they were scared for their own life. So they said no, they wouldn't let us in. And there was this amazing Jamaican family, wallahi, that really like helped us. Like, they called the police, we called the police and everything. And then the police came, and it was just, honestly, it was crazy. If you lot want to know a bit more about this story, inshallah, then let me know, because in the end, there was a lot more hardship going on, because we had to move from that flat, and they moved us to this other place. And I remember I spent a bit of time, like me and my siblings, like me and my older sister, spent a lot of time in court as well, trying to identify the person who actually set fire to the cars. And alhamdulillah, they ended up getting caught and put into jail. But yeah, it was such a crazy, eye-opening experience, to know that the first time we came to this country, like my mom was just getting like a lot of tests on her, and it was really hard for her. It must have been so hard for her. Like, but anyways, guys, if you like more video like this, if you like more content like this, like story times, inshallah, please let me know what type of content you like. I do like sharing my stories, but I know it comes with its pros and cons, because I feel like sometimes when I'm vulnerable and I'm sharing too much about my life, I've been through a great deal of stuff, and I feel like that can come with a lot of negative scrutiny. But at the same time, it's like, people can probably relate to this, like my professor, I know I can relate to him when he said that in the 90s and in the 70s and the 80s, like the Bengali community, like the young boys who would want to go outside and play football and stuff like that, they felt like they couldn't go outside on their own, so they had to go in groups to avoid being like mobbed, or like to avoid being robbed, or to avoid being beaten up by, other white children, or white adults, because it wasn't just children that were doing this. What happened to our cars and stuff, guys? Who were the people that were behind it? Were adults. So, and they were men as well, and I think there was a woman as well involved. But a lot of people knew about it, but no one was saying anything, because they were all friends, like they all knew each other. But anyways, guys, inshallah, if you like this video, please click like, comment, and subscribe. If you're a person who's on the fence and that's like, should I subscribe? Should I not? Just do it, girl. Just do it. Just do it. But anyways, guys, love you. Bye.